YouTube comments from a video titled, How North Carolina is Slowly Turning into America's Next Megacity. Part 3.
At Damian Thymon's RV1WJ wrote,
Used to be a nice state, now it sucks.
Wake County, Orange County, are liberal yuppie armpits that have killed the housing market and charm that was the usual.
Effulgent44 wrote,
It's nothing but cars on the road from Winston-Salem to Greensboro down to Charlotte. These counties can't handle it.
The roadways are terrible. Too much traffic and the roads are falling apart.
At Gabriel Gibson 9081 wrote,
The fact that this region has become one of the most densely populated areas of the country, it still only has 3 professional sports teams. Come on, NFL, MLB, NHL, and NBA. What the hell are you waiting for?
At Genetis Epistemology wrote,
Solid video. Traffic is ridiculous problem here, and the school systems are experiencing growing pains. All sefastal, cause our ponces shan som. It's amazing to see all of the changes here since 1984. I'm in the triangle. This used to be the woods with a lot of high-tech stuff.
At Robert Norris 9245 wrote,
It was a much nicer place to live in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. The heat and humidity kept Yankees from moving here. Salzo freyu bas charcherigerechu fis tal long line mayan. Almogeezer sol vis hen. Bedier. Door line fis tong line mayan. Bedier. Go back, please. We didn't want y'all here in the first place. Stupid AC. Isen.
The Thomas Nolte T1S wrote,
Yep, and we don't have the infrastructure to have all the new residents that are moving here. I've been in Mooresville, NC since '88, and it is packed. Please set size Dia Wine Rover to Zelza Wine Rover Gen C since '88, and it is packed. Memeing me, 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 memeing me.
At Nisto 1518 wrote,
City planner here. I interned with Charlotte during my master's program. Charlotte is making some strides in updating regulations for densification, mostly because there's no choice. Population forecast models show 400K moving to the city proper over the next 25 years or so, and the metro population going from 2 po in T 9 million to about 4 po in T 5 million.
Having grown up in NC, it's mind-blowing to think about a NC city growing to about 3/4 the size of where Philly is today.
A Cultural Comrade wrote,
2 things. It's R.A. Lee. We don't like too many vowels down here lol. And also I see what you are saying, but RTP has a long ways to go to catch up to Charlotte. We need better public transport, and as far as Durham and Raleigh go, it's getting to the point where if you don't over 150K as a household, then you can give up on something being affordable. Which leads into your idea though, cause basically all the surrounding towns for those cities are exploding with those who can't afford to live there. Cary is where Raleigh's rich live. Morrisville is where its transplants live. Garner is where its hard laborers are. Knightdale is for middle-class minorities. Apex is and Holly Springs are for the middle-class rural folks. Yeah, it's spreading, but at a cost of dog crap, traffic control, and NCDOT cannot catch up.
At Donald Clifford 5763 wrote,
I remember being stationed at Fort Carson, CO, back in the 70s near Colorado Springs. At that time, the population was about 150K. Now it's triple that, and then some. Charlotte sounds like a similar growth story.
Kingderald wrote,
All three metros work well together. A very beautiful state to live in, honestly. The weather is perfect. We just need a legit rail service besides Amtrak from Charlotte to Raleigh. We have the population.
At Blackmo Chastout 3515 wrote,
As you can clearly see from the time-lapse video of Charlotte, 485 is still under construction even though half the city was built at that same time frame.
At Anatoly 8212 wrote,
Strange he is talking about Raleigh, Durham and Chapel Hill, but in reality Raleigh, Durham and Carey, and Chapel Hill, and Wake Forest on the north, which is raising 5% in year now. They're already so close to each other, and the roads too small.
At Lou 114 wrote,
I moved to the Raleigh area 27 years ago. I love it, but affordability is becoming a critical issue. We need low-cost housing badly, or we're going to have homeless people on every corner.
At Awakening Spirit 20 wrote,
It's scary, and I'm hopefully going to write many book series set about 200 years in the future showing the detriment of not just here, but the entire East Coast becoming a megalopolis. Things don't look good. Those of us in Greensboro resist with violent traffic to try and make life unbearable and strain the infrastructure/quality of life to the breaking point. Do not move here. Resist incoming corporations and their employees hardcore. Vote against all bonds. Do what you can, and hopefully people flee.
At Daniel Brown YH7EB wrote,
Meanwhile, my hometown Rocky Mount has been losing population. The last census Edgecombe County saw the most loss in population than any other county in the state. All I can do is have faith in my area and hope it can prosper.
At Magus Florin wrote,
I wouldn't consider endless urban sprawl with little to no public transportation a megacity. There are nothing but stroads and 12-lane highways outside of the downtown areas. Fastest growing areas in the States, yes. But no culture. No longevity. Car dependency. Gentrification. I have lived in Raleigh for 1 year now after spending 11 years in other parts of NC. This Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham area is nothing but suburban sprawl.
At RES 2345 wrote,
Why are you areas growing, you ask? The great blue state flight, where blue states and blue cities are mismanaged and over, ran by the corrupt, and those depend on the governments.
At Hotradhunk 7389 wrote,
I don't know why people don't understand that most people want a house. Not an apartment. Not a townhouse. A house and a yard. Sure, maybe dense housing would improve your urban planning, but people are having a life, not worrying about a city's layout. Why not find a better way to structure single-family house cities then? Instead of trying to cram people closer together?
At Blind Panthervligs wrote,
North Carolina raised up. You can't ignore us no more. People say Charlotte and Raleigh are boring, and I tell them that people don't visit Charlotte and Raleigh. They stay here.
At Firefalcon 100 wrote,
It's growing because of people leaving the New England states and moving to the liberal cities where the jobs are. Further, Raleigh-Durham area numbers doesn't include the suburbs of Cary, Apex, Garner, Knightdale, Morrisville, Youngsville, Wendell, and Zebulon. All are growing huge as urban sprawl happens.
At Andrew Jenkins, 2370 wrote.
At FO or teach e hills boys teach e people are e coming better take only look back in de keepo and running. There is gonna be hamburger joints INLLOF your cornfields.
At Damien Off the Grid 4092 wrote.
As someone who has been around the world and driven most parts of this country and across it dozens of times, who now lives in NC, we literally just commented this year that driving through the Raleigh Tech Triangle is like no other place in the US. It's like driving on a city beltway for hours. It's ridiculous and never-ending between all those cities. Imagine your worst city beltway, but doing a dozen or so laps around it continuously. That's what it's like driving on 40 through that area.
At the _South 642 wrote.
I live in Greensboro, and I drive all over the state, and I can tell you firsthand it never feels like I'm living a city. Everything is so connected here, it feels like one big city sometimes.
At Nick the Hokey wrote.
I'm not convinced you've ever visited North Carolina. Raleigh and Durham have been a single metro for a long time. They are classified as two metros by the census for historical reasons. And the three regions do not resemble a single metro. There are vast open areas in between them. You might as well say Charlotte, Greenville, and Atlanta form a single connected metro.
As Smurfy 568 wrote.
As I'm watching this being from the Northeast North Jersey NYC area, most of my adult life has been down south, with CLT being my first love, then living in ATL and DFW. Crazy thing, I was born in NC near Fayetteville and Wilmington, but we left when I was like 3 or 4. However, the mega region from CLT to RDU reminds me of from CLT to ATL, with Greenville Spartanburg / GSP being similar to Greensboro Winston-Salem / GSO.
At Ramsolja 86 wrote.
The state is also playing the interstate game. In the past 2 decades, it and the feds added I-73, I-74, I-795, I-140, I-540, I-885, I-295, I-285, I-42, and a couple of toll roads. Up next, I-685. And I like interstate highways, lol.
At Bud Wardman wrote.
This is the same story for all growing American cities. Since the country's founding, there's been an attitude that we have infinite land to grow and sprawl, but up until recent decades, that's not the case anymore. We've reached a point where there is no more cheap land, but developers and local governments act like there still is.
At JDLs wrote.
Another once great rural state slowly destroying its wildlife and natural areas due to out-of-staters ruining their own states and fleeing to cheaper ones. The virus known as humanity.
Zavinach Rocky 111 wrote.
It's cool to see an expansion of this size. What really matters is how safe the state and cities are. If it's blue, best move out now before the crime rate increases. Always vote red. Always vote to protect the people.
At WF86448 wrote.
I don't see this happening anytime soon. As a native NC resident, in-migration spiked to probably once in a century under very special conditions during COVID. The in-migration is already falling. The last affordable options for Raleigh / Charlotte exist 40 minutes minus 1 hour outside the city. And even those places are now overinflated. I saw a $300,000 studio for sale in Fouquet Varina the other day. Greensboro doesn't have the job space to attract transplants. Salisbury is a small town too far from Charlotte. This state is just too big, and some places are too far / poor to attract the amount of people that caused this sprawl to begin with. Even the places that have already sprawled around Raleigh / CLT are bubbles waiting to pop.
Ed Mustache Et1 wrote.
Yay, when you leave Raleigh and drive through Charlotte, you can feel it merging into one giant metro area. It's all buildings and businesses from Raleigh through Hillsborough, Greensboro, all the way to Charlotte. It's actually insane.
Ed Greg Brunner 599 wrote.
More people from Pennsylvania live in North Carolina than in Pennsylvania. 45% of my class from Pennsylvania are living within 20 minutes from me here in North Carolina. None ever plan to go back to Taxylvania, though we all go to a Steeler game when they play in Charlotte. More terrible towels and fans than for the Panthers. It's the second home for the Steelers.
At Damian Sullivan, you wrote.
This has been clear for well over a decade, and yet each place is still dragging their feet, building infrastructure and mass transit systems that will proactively serve this rapidly growing population. Ironically, Columbia and the cities in between there and Charlotte may combine into a region pretty fast, too.
At William Ford 9564 wrote.
I have lived in Winston-Salem since early 2020 and was in Greensboro for 6 years before. There are no major issues now with traffic in Winston-Salem. In Greensboro, a major thoroughfare, Wendover Avenue, was abominable during rush hours and weekend shopping hours.
At Ghost and Them Machine 5821 wrote.
You really downplayed the rail connections and accessibility in the Carolina Crescent Corridor. NC and VA are being very aggressive in their rail corridor developments. The municipal level needs a lot of work, something besides buses. Charlotte is the only city in the region with real mass public transit and plans to expand its existing rail transit by 60% in the next 15 years. Raleigh is budgeted to build a true signal priority and specified lane-designated BRT. The other cities have decent fixed bus routes. NC has passed the new parking lot ratio laws that allows for denser housing in urban areas. And the cities throughout the region have embraced station-oriented development along the rail connections. It's going to be interesting to see how NC develops.
At William Ford 9564 wrote.
Both Charlotte and Raleigh have seen huge increases in housing costs and other cost of living metrics. If not already, they are looking at a coming affordability crisis. The median price for a home in Raleigh increased from $280,000 in 2020 to $420,000 in early 2025. 50%.
At Rob Robinson 9281 wrote.
The trouble with mass trans in the metro suburban areas, it's almost never where you want, when you want. That is to say, inconvenient for busy people. Those who are able usually choose private transportation over mass transit. I have lived in Winston-Salem for over 40 years and have never utilized mass transit. In fact, I live directly on a WSTA bus route. I see the buses pass by my house frequently, and they're mostly empty even during high traffic times. There was an intercity transit company that operated for a while in the Greater Triad area that, after a number of years, but gave it up, due to low ridership, I imagine. I believe that folks here value the independence and convenience of their POV. By and large, the main thoroughfares and highways here, as crowded as they may be, are pretty good and continually being expanded. I can get in my car and drive to almost anywhere you have described, quickly and conveniently most times of the day. I love living here. It is truly a blessing.
At Explore With Him 4707 wrote.
Move, they're fine, but when the hurricanes and typhoons hit, I don't want to hear about tax money, hurricane damage, none of that. You made your bed, now sleep in it.
At Jack 9366 wrote.
We need better trains in the state. But I am trying to be optimistic. I live in town W/a tourist economy in WNC, and hopefully all the growth in the Piedmont helps this place out financially.
Jack 0Z wrote.
Transit systems are expensive and unsafe. This is why transit systems are not popular. The same people who want to funnel public funds to transit systems are also strangely the ones who have issues with stopping crimes.
And Mike Meck wrote,
North Carolina does not have a major navigable river or an accessible coastline with the exception of Wilmington. Early American large city growth happened at highly accessible locations.
Tim C2Q60 wrote,
This entire region desperately needs a new rail transportation system. The interstate system can't handle the growth. I have family near Raleigh, but the traffic is horrible. The state should start now buying land and building a new rail system. Amtrak is not built for high-speed rail. Additionally, a rail system to SC and Atlanta is paramount. A rail transportation system that can carry freight is a must to keep the 16-wheeler trucks off the interstate, or at least a single lane for truckers and an infrastructure for them. They need safe places to park and sleep with facilities for the truckers. The NCDOT needs new leadership and vision for the future, if the state is going to continue to grow smart. Charlotte needs a bypass for truckers with direct service in between major routes without being a system for more sprawl. Put gas stations in the center medium so no need to build off-ramps. They have this in the UK, and it helps to keep the areas around the direct motorway from being a catalyst for sprawl.
Parker Guy 89 wrote,
I'm 36. I've lived here my whole life. The expansion has been non-stop.
My once small town of Clayton has turned into a Cary-like suburb.
At Steven Wilgus 5422 wrote,
I would love to swap out Dallas for the Carolina Panthers in the NFC East. The team is a perfect rival for the Red Scheme Candors. Otherwise, NC is a beautiful state.
At Eric Barlow 6772 wrote,
I was taught this when I was in elementary school in the 1980s. When you're in the 4th grade, you learn everything about the state, and the 8th grade focuses on the state's history. It's called the Piedmont Crescent. This was thought to happen beside the suburban sprawl in the 1980s, when people began to spread out from urban cores for a slower pace and a better quality of life.
At Radical Indigo wrote,
I have lived in a NC just outside Sawchill's small town for 15 years. My grandparents had moved to in the 80s, so we came here my whole life to visit. As I did AI. Sama Siri. Hey Siri's years and man yang me. May I can't recognize anything in the last 3 years. The red brick in downtown Durham is endless gray boxy luxury apartments and chains, while also removing parking. Hey Siri wall. Nay Dalanju. Nan Ying. En Ying me. En Ying me. En Ying me. Hey Siri wall. En Ying. En Ying. Hey Siri wall. En Ying me. En Ying me. So many subdivisions have popped up near me, Falls Lake, and the local groundwater struggle in the summer to provide water, runoff choking out seasonal creeks, and infrastructure just cannot keep up. You have traffic backed up on windy 2-lane country roads that can't expand. You have Caper Senzortio. You have traffic backed up on windy 2-lane country roads that can't expand. Windy 2-lane country roads that can't expand. You have traffic backed up on windy 2-lane country roads that can't expand. Windy 2-lane country roads that can't expand. Uanghem, Wimming those wine. Uanghem, 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 Uang, Uanghem, 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 Uanghem. Creedmoor Half-Mitner's water system spewing brown water. Youngsville approved a housing development, more than doubling its size, but no plans for how to support that. Even as far out as Warren County has become a land grab as they increase taxes to buy up farmland and push out older populations. Well, wages are stagnant, Look at teacher salaries being some of the lowest in the country, but house had more than doubled. Alec Roth is one thing, this is cancer.
At name 4601 wrote,
I hate how the term megaregion is used in the US. Tokyo is a megaregion. The Pearl River Delta is a megaregion. The Blue Banana in Uopre is a megaregion. The never-ending suburban sprawl with a population density lower than 2,000 people/mile is not a megaregion.
At John Public, DK7ZD wrote,
I live on the Guilford Alamance line, and it is getting busier and busier around here, housing going up left and right, more new businesses than I can count. On the bright side, it isn't far to farms and small towns. On the dark side, stupid communists Democrats exist no more, trying to bring their crop here, after fleeing what they created in other states. Godstone the cows.
At Celestial Scripture wrote,
I grew up in Belmont, a small town right next to Charlotte, and can attest to the effect of urban sprawl. Those tentacles completely enveloped and changed our small town and kept right on moving in subsequent years.
At World of Niantho wrote,
I'm from Raleigh, live here, and have never heard of anyone advocating for a merge of Raleigh and Durham, morming Raleigh and Durham. It's actually something we take pride in, being two separate cities. Almighty two separate cities. Almighty two separate cities. With two vastly different cultures.
At Ryan's 7097 wrote,
Used to live in NC. One of the major reasons I moved out was because wages are nowhere close to keeping up with how fast the cost of living is going up in any place that's relatively nice to live. If you didn't buy before like 2022, it's gotten very unaffordable.
At Eddie Raff's 5909 wrote,
The entire state will eventually be like Huntersville. A warren of businesses, apartments, and jammed roads from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. As an octogenarian, I'm not concerned about the dreaded future, and the young people are being programmed to see it as normal.
At Robert 9850 wrote,
The Greensboro Airport area is quietly becoming the future of air travel. Honda Jet headquarters located there years ago, and now both Jet Zero and Boom Supersonic will start building planes there.
At Marty 4650 wrote,
Yes, they will eventually merge when the population in the state reaches around 100 million. But right now you can drive for an hour and a half between Greensboro and Raleigh or Greensboro and Charlotte and see mostly empty land. Right now, North Carolina is the 28th largest state by land area, the 9th largest state by population, but only the 13th highest in population density. So it is a large population state with relatively more room to grow than the other large population states.
At Cull 8339 wrote,
I'm in western Chatham County rural and have a family farm. We can tell the Chapel Hill / Cary / Apex / Burlington areas keep coming our way. Farms are being bought and built into housing. It's sad.
At TROLLINXURXTROLL wrote,
As a Carolinian currently here, please do not move here. We are closed and are not accepting new residents. North Carolina is not the state you want to move into. It's bad. Everything is bad, not safe. We are overcrowded. Take your residency to South Carolina or Virginia. They will happily accept you. Please DONOT move here.
At Gatalibero 8329 wrote,
The video only focused on interstates as the reason for expansion, but that's only a minor part of the reason because the roads here are complete garbage. The real reason for massive growth in this area has to do with access to energy resources. Massive pipelines traverse the exact path of these urban areas. North and South Carolina have an abundance of nuclear power. There's plenty of groundwater, lakes and rivers.
Ed Allergic to Fantasy wrote,
I cannot imagine living with enough humidity to turn your personal nooks and crannies into a swamp that no amount of showering will cool off. Add to that a healthy sprinkling of mosquitoes and a multitude of other insects, and my house at twice the price in a nice dry region is a bargain.
At 500938 Full wrote,
I've been to Raleigh on a day trip once. It was very vibrant and beautiful compared to the typical glum look I'm used to with Roanoke, Virginia, which is the closest city to me currently.
At Urban Planner Explained wrote,
From an urban planner's perspective, North Carolina is currently giving a masterclass on how to build an unsustainable mega region. The fact that 84% of Charlotte's residential land is still zoned exclusively for single-family homes is a recipe for disaster. Filling the gap between rapidly growing cities like Charlotte and Raleigh with suburban sprawl rather than a true high-speed rail network will only amplify the traffic crisis. Relying solely on I-40 and I-85 to shoulder this massive urban merger is impossible. Unless they overhaul zoning laws and increase density, this region is unfortunately on the fast track to becoming the new Atlanta.